In this video, I'm talking about the active listening tool of who questions. And who questions are just questions that ask people about themselves as people, like about their personality, their values, their habits, their thought processes, all these things that are unique to them as people and that are sort of long-lasting about them, not just what are they doing in the moment, but how does that relate to their character and their personhood. That's who questions. And these questions are really powerful because everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be known as someone who is unique, who has good values, who has a personality that contributes to the world. We want to be seen in a deeper way by people in our lives. So getting in the habit of asking who questions can make your relationships more rewarding, can make people feel more appreciated, more understood, and more seen in relationship with you. Examples of who questions include things like, what did that experience teach you about yourself? Or what energizes you? What generally drains you? What are your processes for making big decisions? What are your non-negotiables? How does your personality influence the way you handle situations like this? How does your faith influence your perspective on this situation? How does your education influence your perspective on this? There's lots of ways of asking people about things that really get at the deeper parts of themselves that are persistent over time. And like many active listening tools, one of the best things about this tool is that it gets you to think in a different way during conversation. So it's not just about the moment when you ask these who questions, it's about what you're listening for when you're listening to someone. And that is that you're listening for ways that you can identify unique things about them. You're listening for opportunities to ask about things about them that are unique. And that attunement to uniqueness in them is what's going to be so powerful in relationship. Now, of course, this needs to enter into the conversation naturally. Like most active listening tools, this can feel really weird when you just interject a who question randomly in a way that's not well connected with the conversation. But when you practice it, it's not that difficult to sort of translate conversations about the situation into conversations about the person who's handling the situation. So for example, if someone gets a new Fitbit and they're talking about it, instead of asking, what are you going to do with the Fitbit, or where did you buy it, or whatnot, you can ask them questions like, how did you decide you wanted a Fitbit? And that's going to open up questions about their values, about how they organize their life. It's going to open up questions about them and their processes. Or if a person is talking about what they want to major in, and let's say they're trying to decide biology or mathematics, you can ask them questions like, what parts of your personality match best with each major? Or how do you generally think about the way your major will lead to different careers? Or for example, if someone is talking about a bad driver on the road and they're sort of arriving frustrated because they had to deal with this bad driver who was tailgating them and cutting them off, instead of just asking about the situation, you can ask, how do you generally handle bad drivers? What's your principles when you approach situations like this? So the basic idea is that instead of just focusing on the current situation, the current thing they're talking about, you're focusing on what parts of themselves are showing up in that situation, what parts of themselves are habitual to handling situations like that. And when you do that, you really do get to know the person a lot better. So who questions are just a really powerful tool for active listening. I highly recommend practicing them whenever you can.